Do you love catching the latest blockbusters, but you're looking to save some cash? Well, Regal Cinemas has you covered. Introducing the Regal Crown Club, a totally free loyalty program designed to give you more bang for your buck every time you visit the theater. As a Regal Crown Club member, you can rack up points and redeem them for awesome perks such as concession upgrades, movie tickets, and exclusive prizes. Plus, points can be used to shop for merch, score free downloads, and enter sweepstakes in the Regal Rewards Center. But the deals don't stop there. On Mondays, get 25% off all candy, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 50% off popcorn along with discounted movie tickets, as low as $5 with Regal Value Days. Oh, and did I mention they give you a free popcorn every year on your birthday just for being a member? How cool is that? Crown Club also tracks every time you buy a ticket, and after just 6 visits, you'll earn free bonus extra credits. So why wait? Download the Regal app today and get started with your free Crown Club membership. Regal Crown Club, your ticket to unbeatable movie deals.
If you're like me, the first time you heard the Champs' Tequila was probably when Pee-wee Herman danced on a bar in the 1985 film Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This week's guest, Tommy Avallone, is a diehard cinephile and prolific documentary filmmaker. His latest documentary, The House From, is currently streaming on Fubo and Ryan Reynolds' Maximum Effort channel. Since Pee-wee's house from the iconic Tim Burton movie is heavily featured, we thought now was the perfect time to discuss this single-word hit song.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
So Tommy, welcome to the show. Matt and I both thought it would be appropriate for you to be on this episode about tequila because if you're of a certain age, you associate this song with a particular scene in a particular movie. More specifically, I'm talking about the scene where Pee-wee wins over the bikers in the biker bar by jumping up on the bar and performing the Pee-wee dance, which I performed many times as a kid. And the reason this relates to you is because you are a filmmaker and you have a new documentary called The House From, where you highlight and feature people that live in the houses that are famous from movies and television shows. Houses we all know. One of those houses being the house that Pee-wee lived in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I thought was really awesome. I love how, no spoilers about the doc, but the guy who lived there, he was so like, yeah, this is just where I grew up, and they painted it red, and none of the crazy stuff is on the inside of the house. This is just a normal house. But yeah, I loved the documentary, man. And I don't know. I think we should start there if you want to tell people a little more than I did about it.
I agree.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the documentary is called The House From. It will be on the Maximum Effort channel October 27th, and then on iTunes, Amazon, and Google October 28th. But yeah, as a kid, I live in New Jersey. So I would go to the Quick Stop and all this sort of stuff. And then I'm super near Philadelphia, so the Rocky Steps are right there. So there was always this element of oh, wait, this is in the real world, So I've always done that. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I remember thinking, oh, I'm 10 minutes away from the Wonder Years house.
Yes.
I'm 20 minutes away from the Nightmare on Elm Street house. This is crazy. I grew up around real history, walking by Ben Franklin's grave and the Liberty Bell every day, going to work, and couldn't care less. I'm like, oh, hey, is this the Full House house? It's like, so it was really interesting going to these houses, but I was like, I wonder what it's like to live there. I did a documentary about Santas before, and I'm like, I wonder what it's like to look like Santa. And it's the same thing. I wonder what it's like to walk in this house where everyone else has a different relationship with it. It's the Pee-wee house to so many people, but to Bill, it's the house he grew up in.
Right.
In particular, with the guy who owns the Pee-wee house, is really funny because Pee-wee really wasn't a household name, like the movie had not come out, the show was not out. He was just this guy who would do things at the Growlings, or the Roxy or whatever. So when Bill's this little kid, he's like, why is this man in a suit? Why are they talking like kids? Like, why is he like going, ha ha? He had no idea. So it was like super strange to him.
At most, there was an HBO special that definitely he wouldn't have watched as a kid. Like,
dude,
no way. Yeah.
I never think about experiencing that movie from the perspective of, I saw that movie after I had already been watching Pee-wee's Playhouse on TV and absolutely knew who Pee-wee was. I can't imagine walking into that movie not knowing who Pee-wee is and just experiencing it that way. That's so wild to think about.
And that's how most of America experienced that movie.
That's so crazy.
But not even that, but like, it's like, yes, you're watching this movie and it's like, it's amazing. It's engaging and all that sort of stuff. Not just some guy in a gray suit and a red bow tie screaming at your porch,
Right.
That's even the most weirder like, Pee-wee in Tim Burton's movie is great. Pee-wee out of context, not knowing who he is weird.
Yeah. Yeah, for
well,
sure.
Tommy, I'm going to use this as a way to segue to something else, though, because I am eternally jealous of you while we're talking about Pee-wee, because you actually had a little bit of a friendship with Paul Rubens.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a long story, but, I was trying so hard to do a Pee-wee Paul Rubens documentary, so hard. And I mean, I guess, and everyone was trying to do it at the same time. And I was supposed to meet up with him, but then the pandemic happened. So it just never worked out. And there's one thing led to another. The manager was giving me misinformation. It never worked out that I did the documentary with him. Someone else is doing it and it's going to be out and it's going to be amazing. The director's awesome. But I did have this small connection. I wanted to talk to him, but there was no reason to talk to him. But my second cousin is Frankie Avallone, who's this big kahuna, sort of 50s person, and it's someone that Paul idolized. Frankie's Pee-wee's in one of Frankie's movies, Back to the Beach.
Yeah.
And Frankie's in the Christmas special. So a friend of a friend gave me Paul's email, and I was just dropping that name hard. I was
why not?
Second cousin of Frankie. I don't even think I said second. I was cousin of Frankie. And we set up a Zoom. And we talked for an hour and a half. It was fantastic.
Wow.
It was, but I just always knew that if Paul knew you, he would text you on your birthday and send out Christmas cards. So I was just how can I get on this list? He wrote down my address, and for every year he would send me Christmas cards. So I have 2 or 3 I have 3. I only found 2. I'm trying to find a third one, and then I'm going to get them framed. But and then every birthday he would send me and my wife birthday text messages. All day. It was ridiculous.
That's so cool.
Yeah. You can't delete that text message, right?
No.
That's got to just be sitting in there forever.
I mean, it was just awesome. I mean, and I audio recorded that interview, but my talk with him. And I asked him, I was like, can I, screen grab this, and he's like, oh, not right now. But we will meet, and, and we never did. But I saw him in real life when I saw his show on Broadway, before I knew him personally, but it was awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
We would trade emails from time to time, but it was always the text messages on the birthdays, and that was the best.
That's amazing.
Cool. Well,
that's so cool.
I'm glad you're here to talk about the song, probably the song I second most associate with Pee-wee, behind the theme song to Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Do, bow, bow. Which would be awesome if we were talking about that. I wish that song so badly was a hit we could talk about. I don't know who performs that song, but
it's Danny Elfman, right?
Oh,
no,
it's Danny? Oh.
Maybe Danny Elfman did the music. It's Cyndi Lauper that sings it.
Oh, wow, that's right. Of course it's Cyndi Lauper. Come on in and
pick
pull
yourself up a chair.
like Cherry. That song's awesome. But we are talking about, of course, Tequila by the Champs, which is a 1958 Latin-inspired surf instrumental song written by Chuck Rio, not really his name, and recorded by the band, the Chuck Rio, not really his name, played in, kind of. It was kind of just some guys that got together and for a session and called themselves the Champs.
This is one of the most fascinating things that I think I've researched in a while for this podcast, because the history of the Champs is goofy. I do need to give a quick shout out to a frequent guest of the show who had technically claimed this song. He really wanted to do it as a live show in Philly where you and him, Chris, would take shots every time we said the name of the song.
Wow.
But then when I told him that it was Tommy that was taking it, he was fine with it. So Matt DiStefano, if you're out there, my apologies that you're not getting drunk on stage in Philadelphia talking about the Champs.
Dude, I'm not a big drinker, and Matt's not a drinker at all, and Tommy, I don't know if you're a drinker, but tequila is it's like its own thing.
Yeah, there's no fun to be had with tequila.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I
think this song is the most fun that you can have with the word tequila.
Yes, this song does kind of sum up. I just recently, from one of our recordings a couple weeks ago, my buddy Johnny and I, and sometimes PJ comes too, we like to go eat at this Mexican restaurant. And I'm assuming that my buddy Johnny is a good tipper there because he's like a regular eater there. And we'll be eating. The waiter will just bring us shots of tequila. And we're like, okay, I guess we'll do these shots while we're already drinking pitchers of margaritas. And I feel like this song really is the soundtrack to that early part when the margaritas start going down like water and you're just having a great time down in chips and salsa at the Mexican restaurant. But
can I ask you a question? Like, like tequila is in margaritas, right?
Yes.
Okay, I do like margaritas.
Yes, margaritas. Margaritas are pretty good, and you can have a pretty good time. Yeah. And this song is a good soundtrack for them. I will say that this song, it's hard to not be in a good mood if this song is playing.
No.
I mean, it's so great. Like you're seeing it a lot with like, I guess Netflix nowadays, like with Stranger Things, like taking these songs from like 20, 30 years ago and then making them popular again, with, and then also the Monsters show with Milli Vanilli. But like, I love that like Pee-wee took this song from back in the day and just made it popular, and surfer music, that style, which is more or less like the soundtrack to Boy Meets World, like 2 through 4.
Yeah.
That's sort of like surfer rock. Like, I'm into it. I love that stuff.
I don't think I ever would have considered this song a surfer instrumental, because it's basically just like a sax solo to me. Like, but I get it. And then I saw that like a lot of surf rock bands have covered it. So I guess that like became a portion of it. What confused me was that in 1958, it won a Grammy. It was the first ever Grammy winner for Best Rhythm and Blues Performance.
Yeah, this is my favorite R&B song.
Yeah, it feels real weird and like borderline racist because it beat out like Nat King Cole and like actual rhythm and blues musicians. And I'm pretty sure the Champs were a bunch of white guys yelling about tequila, if I had to make a guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the ethnic backgrounds of the members of the Champs, but I do not think of this song as R&B. It's a strange category for it to be in. I do think about the Pee-wee dance every time I do this. I will tell you guys, I don't know if you're familiar with a amusement park out my way called Kennywood, but it's one of the best roller coaster parks. It's really, really fun. And there's one attraction there. Matt, you would love this. It's called Noah's Ark. And you walk in.
I know about Noah's Ark.
Yeah. It's like a dark walk-through ride. It's supposed to be kind of like spooky, but you walk in through on the tongue of a whale and you walk through this thing. But at one point, when you're in the lowest level, there are what we call the shaky floors. And one shakes forward and backward real fast, and one shakes side to side. And from the time I was... I don't know, probably from the first time I saw Pee-wee until now. I will tell you guys, I will still do this now when I walk on the shaky floors. Definitely always do the Pee-wee dance. When I don't know, something about the shaky floors makes me want to do the Pee-wee dance, and I don't know why. But
amazing.
That's my connection to the Pee-wee dance a little bit. But yeah, this song, 1958, this band, the Champs, were signed by Gene Autry. Gene Autry is one of those names. I'm like, okay, I've heard it before. Gene Autry his resume is impressive. known as the Singing Cowboy, appeared in 93 motion pictures, hosted his own show called The Gene Autry Show, and also owned a television station and a bunch of radio stations in Southern California. And also, probably the most impressive part of all of this, was the founding owner of the California Angels baseball team. But he signed the Champs, one of the members of the Champs, Dave Burgess, to his record label Challenge Records. Dave was a rockabilly singer-songwriter from California, and Dave ended up not having any hits. So they arranged this recording session on December 23rd of 1957, which I thought was interesting. 2 days before Christmas, a bunch of guys get together for a recording session and write Tequila. During this, it's such an interesting day to do it.
They were supposed to record 3 singles. They were recording Train to Nowhere, Night Beat, and All Night Rock. And then afterwards, they just started to jam on this idea. And they happened to record them jamming this Tequila song and thought, oh, we'll just throw it as a B-side on his album. And it's one of those classic situations of like, they put out this record, no one cares, and then some random DJ flips over Train to Nowhere to the B-side and plays Tequila, and like overnight the song is this huge hit. And what I thought was interesting was up until this point, this was still supposed to be Dave Burgess's like solo career, and the band The Champs was just a name that they threw onto the record at the last second, being like, well, no one's buying Dave Burgess records, so let's just come up with a new name. Let's go with The Champs. And this is something that we've seen a couple times in the 50s. The second highest charting hit for The Champs was a sequel to Tequila called Too Much Tequila.
I love the days of sequel songs. Bobby Boris Pickett was good for it. The Champs were good for it. Lots of sequel songs.
Chubby Checker had like 4 different twist songs.
Let's twist again. Let's twist again, maybe. Even.
Wait, how did the sequel to Tequila go?
I'm pretty sure it was just the same song.
No, I listened to it. It's relatively the same style, and yeah, it's not like that much different. It's just a slightly less good version of it, and that came out a few years later, and still riding that Tequila wave, we're able to enter the charts again. What it go to, like number 30 or something? Like
it went to 30 on the charts, and then in 2020, the peak of COVID, the band leader Dave Burgess resurrected the Champs with a new lineup and released a 12-track album called Tequila Party. And I should have looked this up. It contains the party version of Tequila, which is...
Well, dude, think about this. This song is from 1958, and this guy in 2020 is like, we gotta get this Tequila. My point is, it's never too late to I don't know, to try to capitalize on this. But Dave Burgess did not write this song. It was actually Danny Flores so it was Dave on guitar, this guy named Cliff Hills on bass, and then the Flores trio with Danny Flores on sax and piano, Gene Alden on drums, and Buddy Bruce on lead guitar. And they also had this person, Hewlin Duvall, contributing backing vocals. Whatever. Danny Flores is the guy who says Tequila. Danny Flores wrote the song. Danny Flores plays the sax on the phone. And Danny Flores, in the end, for some reason, signed away his rights because he didn't want to be involved with this and didn't make any money from it and had nothing to do with it. But he's the guy
they
actually
gave him
the
the
song.
Fake name Chuck Rio
as the
writer of the...
That's Chuck Rio because he was already signed to a record label, so he had to write it under a pseudonym. And then for some reason, which I can't figure out, signed away the rights to this, which probably I would have assumed this song's like legendary class. How much money do you guys think is a ballpark estimate, because I don't know, I'm just guessing here, has been made from the publishing of this song over the years?
If you go on the Wikipedia page and just look at uses in media, it's like a mile long of ways that this song has been used in popular culture, be it like other people covering it. I've kind of stepped out of the wrestling world a little bit. I know Tommy's still firmly in there. Apparently there's a AEW wrestler who dances to Tequila.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Dan Halson.
I don't know.
I don't watch AEW. I don't watch any wrestling really, but it said professional wrestler Dan Helsing has been known to stop in the middle of the match to perform the Pee-wee dance to the song Tequila.
Wow! I mean, don't make me start liking wrestling. That sounds way better than the Attitude Era, which I just learned about because I watched the Vince McMahon documentary. I watched wrestling when I was like 10. I didn't know anything. I didn't know at some point in the WWE that there was a part where Vince McMahon's daughter came out. PJ told me this last night. Did you know that there was almost a plot where Vince McMahon got his daughter pregnant?
Yep.
That is
a famous behind the scenes writing story that I've heard a couple times. Tommy, did you know that storyline?
I did not know. I watched the doc, but yeah, I didn't know.
That
was apparently Stephanie was the one that was like, yeah, we're not going to do that storyline. And apparently the story I heard was that Vince was like, all right, well, what if it was Shane that was the father?
Oh my God.
Of the baby. And she was like, again, Dad, no, we're not going to do that.
I got to tell you, I mean, I guess I'm assuming you said that Tommy, you like wrestling? Is that like...
Yeah.
Okay.
Tommy has a wrestler in every documentary in some way, shape, or form. Did you catch Mick Foley in the house from?
Oh, right. Hey, look. I do have to tell you this, that I liked I loved Brutus the Barber Beefcake when I was a kid. That was my favorite wrestler. I liked that.
Nice.
That was my era when I had a subscription to WWF magazine. WrestleMania 5 era was like when I liked wrestling. I was probably whatever 8, 9 years older. So, but I didn't watch wrestling forever after that. I've told this story many times, but I decided one day to turn it on. And I happened to turn it on. The moment I turned it on, which I guess my friends that like wrestling tell me, like, I can't believe you happened to turn it on at this moment, I was like, what is going on? It was like, it wasn't a match. It was like the background story. And it was an old lady, and the old lady was in the hospital, and she gave birth to a hand. And I was like... What is this? That's the moment I tuned in.
You said, what happened to my good wrestling when the wrestlers were also garbage truck drivers and guys with giant gardening
2x4s. When guys put their thumbs up and carried 2x4s. What happened to that?
When men were men, Chris.
It's funny when people need to explain to me why they don't like wrestling and all that stuff. It's like, I don't need to know why you have bad taste. Like wrestling is fantastic. Like you can live your journey, not enjoying life, and I'm fine with that. But I like professional wrestling, and I know it's fantastic.
Well,
I will say this. Anytime I try to watch it with someone, it's usually the worst it ever is.
Yeah. I mean, 100%.
What are the chances that I decided to be like, you know what? People seem to really like this. I'm going to tune in at the very moment that an old lady was giving birth to a hand. I'm not trashing wrestling. I'm saying that if there's a guy who now stops in the middle of the match and does the Pee-wee dance to Tequila, my interest is piqued. I'm interested now.
This is Krista Makes, guitarist and vocalist for Less Than Jake, and host of Krista Makes a Podcast, a songwriting podcast where every week I'm joined by an amazing guest to break down the writing, recording, and release of one iconic song from their career. In our giant evergreen back catalog of episodes, we've had rock legends such as Dee Snider and Huey Lewis, punk rock favorites like Mark Hoppus, Fat Mike, and Brett Gurewitz, and up-and-coming artists of today such as Liz Stokes of the Beths and Genesis Owusu. We've had guests from all genres and styles of music, and I guarantee that if you peruse our back catalog, you'll see several episodes that'll make you say, man, I gotta hear that. Whether you're a fan of music or a creator of music yourself, you'll take away a whole new appreciation for the songs you know and love. Krista Makes a Podcast is available for free on all the places you could possibly listen to podcasts, and new episodes come out every Monday.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Pandolfi inviting you to check out the new season of my podcast, Inside the Musician's Brain, with new episodes airing now.
Hearing it in that room, these guys playing this thing and trying to figure out how to play this song was mind-blowing. It's so inspiring to know there's so much more to it than you ever thought. And it just opened another door.
But when people find faith because they need to, in terms of just filling a void to feel better without actually being better, that's when it becomes a crutch, much like, drugs and alcohol do.
Man, I don't have all the time in the world here. If I want to be a professional bluegrass musician, I felt like I had to take a very strategic approach, just trying to get rid of the barriers and figure out what those barriers were.
The feelings still come and I have to reckon with that, but I think I have better ways of moving forward and not being stuck, which I think was the killer for me.
Catch all that and so much more on the new season of Inside the Musician's Brain.
In the darkest corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
So Tequila hit number 1 in the United States. When we listen to this song that's just the word tequila 3 times and a crazy sax solo, this was a number 1
I love that.
hit song. 1958, Billboard doesn't even have their charts really available on the website anymore. But I was able to look up what all the other number 1s were that particular year. I'm not going to go down all the lists, but here's some of the noteworthy ones. Danny and the Juniors, At the Hop. Dave Seville, Witch Doctor. The Everly Brothers, All I Have to Do Is Dream. The episode we literally did last week for Halloween, Sheb Wooley's Purple People Eater. And Dave Seville again, 2-timer on the charts with the Chipmunks this time for the Chipmunks Christmas Don't Be Late song.
Could you imagine living in a time where the number 1 songs, the most played songs that are on the radio are Purple People Eater, Tequila, and the Christmas song from the Chipmunks? Like, that is such a wild time for the radio.
I wanted to point out, again, like we said, on the Purple People Eater, the last word of that song is the Purple People Eater yelling tequila.
Yeah, right.
And that was a number 1 song just 3 or 4 months after this song was a number 1 song. So that's how quickly of a turnaround Sheb Wooley got in the studio, recorded that song, got it on radio, and got it to number 1.
Didn't they? And the Purple People Eater also references short shorts. That Who Wears Short, which was also I think it went to number 3, but still a popular song of that time. What a strange time for the radio! I'm telling you, like, it was all novelty music. Was all I mean, Tequila. Do you guys? I kind of think this could be put in the novelty department for a couple reasons. One, it's just the word tequila. 2, this wasn't really a band. It was just kind of like a session musicians put together in a room that happened to strike gold. And on top of that, this is okay. You can say too much tequila, like charted or whatever, but it's really just a gimmick. It's this is the band that sings about tequila.
Well, I was going to say, the second that they write a sequel song, you're already leaning into novelty music.
Yes, right. It's a great novelty song, though. And I just can't believe that 62 years later, during a global pandemic, that Dave Burgess, who didn't write the song, made an entire album. I mean, the guy has to be in his 80s, right?
I looked it up. He was 86 when he released that album.
Wow.
Writing Tequila Party, giving us the party version of Tequila, which I really wish I looked up before we did this so I could hear. I hope it's just like the most brutal dance beat behind
we needed
for a while.
Do you think that the song is the least amount of words to ever hit like number 1?
Short of an instrumental song, I would say like a song minus a song with
instrumental ever hit number 1 though.
Oh, an instrumental has.
Axel F.
Oh yeah.
Axel F went to number 1, right, Matt?
Yeah, the Beverly Hills Cop theme song hit number 1 on the Billboard.
So did.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I believe so did
Chariots of Fire.
Yeah, Chariots of Fire I think did too.
Oh, and what about that the Ferris Bueller one? That probably went number 1, right?
Surprisingly not as high as you would think. We just recorded an episode on Oh Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it did well, but yeah, the Yellow was maybe I think it was a top 10.
Well, also
when we did that.
Also, that song, you might not know this, Tommy. That song does have verses. The moon.
Yeah.
It has like the moon. Or what is it, Matt? Like the moon is beautiful.
Moon, beautiful.
Yeah.
The sun rises too.
Yeah.
He just says random shit in the background.
the official soundtrack to breasts bouncing on the on the screen. Oh yeah. Bow bow. Okay, there's not really that much more to say about Tequila and the Champ. and
well, can I say this about Tequila?
Yes.
You're talking about how like it was weird to fit in that R&B category, but I feel like that's like not unheard of. Like, isn't like The Bear like categorized as a comedy in all the award shows?
Yeah, and
like
the problem with that is that apparently you just submit to whatever category you think you belong in that case. So like the question is more like, why isn't the Academy being like, hey, I think you made a mistake. You submitted this very heartbreaking, stressful drama under the comedy category.
Yeah. I love The Bear, but man, like it's like it just the anxiety.
Yeah,
is,
it's not the show you put on for a quick laugh like a normal comedy would be.
Now, although the first season had some great call outs to Bill Murray, you know, and the second season they were in Winnetka. And I thought for sure they were going to go to the Home Alone house. I was like, they're right around the corner.
You know? I love the house in the doc, Tommy. The one that's used in so many movies. Like those people's houses used in everything. Like, oh, he peed. What's it? Who peed? Somebody peed off.
Stifler peed off of here.
Yeah. That house is crazy. Like, so it's this house in Altadena, California, and I initially just looked it up because it's obviously the Can't Hardly Wait house. You know, it's like, and I love and adore that movie. And then as I was talking to her, she was saying it was in Risky Business, but I don't believe that to be true. Like it was sold to her as a Risky Business house, but a lot of that was filmed in Chicago, and it just doesn't look like it's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, we looked at like some of her files and all that sort of stuff. It's like it was in like all the shows, like NCIS and all those sort of like crime sort of whatever hour-long shows. It's in so many of them. It was American Beauty. It was in This Is Us. You know, so it was also in Ghost Whisperer. So Jennifer Love Hewitt was there twice.
Oh,
you know, so all these things, and like I still like I'll be watching a show and I go, I think that's the Rubio house. You know,
Tommy,
it's just so iconic.
Tommy,
I had texted you about this, but I loved the Can't Hardly Wait segment of the movie, and the one element that shows up in that I wish was, I mean, here's the TV show version of the house from, I suppose, is just bringing actors from the movies back to the house to like have them walk around and talk about the memories of filming, because that was just seeing Ethan Embry wander around that property and just how much he seems to hate the movie Can't Hardly Wait. Like as he's talking to her about it, he's like, it's a really bad movie. I stalk a girl in it.
Well, Ethan has this sort of like downplay on some of his movies. Like, because I love Ethan. Ethan was in our This Is Guar documentary, you know, and that's how, like, I sent like an email to his agent, like, oh, we're doing this Guar documentary. I would love to get Ethan in there. And like, he just called me. He's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then so after that, I was like, I'm thinking about doing this house thing. I'd love to get you to the Can't Hardly Wait house. So like, he doesn't live in LA anymore. So it just timed out perfectly. We were both in LA at the time, and we got his friend Joel to come too, who was also in the movie, and it just kind of worked out. But like, Ethan has this really interesting relationship with those movies, like Empire Records, Can't Hardly Wait. Like, they were supposed to be these like hard R movies. Like Empire Records was way more drug stuff. Can't Hardly Wait was like they couldn't even like show too much of the alcohol. Like there was all these, because American Pie had not come out yet, and American Pie sort of broke it open a little bit for these rated R comedies that showed that they could work. But Can't Hardly Wait and Empire Records in particular were supposed to be these harder movies, and that's what he wanted to do. And he knows the version of what it could be. But it's like, we all know the movies that we watch, and like we're like, well, this is fantastic, you know?
Tommy, I grew up south of Pittsburgh, and the two locations that were close to me were the Silence of the Lamb house, and also they filmed some of RoboCop in the mills of Monessen, like where I was. But the Silence of the Lamb's house, when I was looking to buy my house, it was for sale. But the location, it is a cool house. The location of it, like Perryopolis, it's just not a place that I was like interested in living. But the house is very nice, but they wanted like 300-some thousand for it. And that was just the inflated price because it's the Silence of the Lamb's house. You know, it is a cool house though.
Well, I think that that's the interesting thing that I walked away from after watching your doc was like, I feel like living in a house that's from a movie sounds like an absolute nightmare. You have so many interviews with people that are just, I mean, the woman who lives in the Friday house, I felt so much empathy towards because she's just like, I got my grandkids here. People are just showing up, drinking 40s, smoking blunts, sticking their head in our window to yell lines of the movie at us.
Oh,
like,
man.
Yeah.
But the people who are like, let's buy the house and turn it into like a movie themed Airbnb or turn it into like a museum to that movie. I feel like that's kind of the way you have to do it. And based on the popularity of those movies, I don't think you would have too much of a trouble. Like, if you're charging X amount, you'll be fine on whatever it costs on that house. Like, I don't think the Goonies love is going away anytime soon.
Well, that's the thing. It's all about the neighborhood in which you live in, right?
Yeah.
So Goonies has a really hard time in Astoria to get like anything that's sort of like museum / like a place to visit in a sort of financial way. They have blocks in that township to stop that stuff. Full House is the same way. You're next to $4 million houses. They don't want people in and out all the time.
Yeah.
But the, Christmas Story house is in a very poor neighborhood, and they can have business and residential in the same spot. So what was interesting about them is like they make so much money, they take care of the neighbors, like, oh, you need a new roof, you need this, like they'll raise money for the neighborhood and the towns because they just know that it's just going to be constant traffic. There's certain, especially Los Angeles, it would be really hard to do a lot of that stuff in Los Angeles. But once you're getting into different townships and different areas like that, you can. But like Chicago, like there's no way Home Alone would ever become one of those things because it's just too much money in that neighborhood.
I love how welcoming the Halloween house people were.
Yeah.
Like the one I've that's one of the few like houses I visited was one of the times I was in LA. Kyle from Horror Movie Night was living in LA at that time, and he drove me out to just see the stoop where Jamie. I didn't grab a pumpkin and get a photo, but I was just like, oh, look at that. That's the one. That's the one she sits on for sure.
Well, it's crazy how much is in South Pasadena. Like that area is crazy. There was so much more that we couldn't even do. Like the Mad Men house, Father of the Bride's out there, even when we interviewed Jason Lee, when Jason Lee did the narration for the movie, he was like, oh, I used to live in South Pasadena and I was right near this house and that. Like he even knew that he was next to famous houses,
Yeah, that's crazy. Chris, do we have some trivia?
Oh, we do. I have some trivia for you guys. If you're down for playing a little game real quick. This is all tequila related trivia.
No.
I guess we'll do this. Tommy, you're our guest. You could pick odd or even as far as which questions you're going to get. And then the other person can have a chance to steal if you don't get it right. Here's what we'll do. If you can get it without the multiple choice, you'll get 2 points. If you need the multiple choice, you'll get 1. And then the other person has a chance to steal. But if you decide to steal and you miss it, you get -1. That's the rules.
All right, I'll go even because I don't want to go first.
Okay. All right, Matt, we'll start with you. Boots Randolph recorded a version of Tequila for his 1967 album Saxational. Boots is best known for his 1963 saxophone hit Yakety Sax, which became the signature tune for what show?
Benny Hill.
Wow. You got it. Wow. Jeez, that's pretty good. Boots Randolph also played on Brenda Lee, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. That's who plays on that, too. Boots Randolph.
I got a question for you guys. Who's going to lose this game? It's going to be Tommy.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Matt got 2 points. I didn't see that coming. I wouldn't have got that question in a million years. All right, Tommy, on to you. Tequila is the Husky marching band Dynasty song, with Husky fans sporting tequila bumper stickers and T-shirts, and the band playing the song at every football game for what university?
Oh, I mean, I don't watch real sports, so I have no idea.
You want the multiple choice?
No, just give me the fail.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right. Matt, do you want to try to steal?
I don't get the multiple choice because he didn't, correct?
Right.
I'm going to sit this one out.
The Huskies. That would be the University of Washington.
Wasn't going to get there.
I don't do real sports.
Okay. All right, back to you, Matt, with a 2-0 lead. Tequila was played in which 1961 film during a scene in which Audrey Hepburn hosts a party?
Give me multiple choice, please.
Your choices are A, Breakfast at Tiffany's, B, Sabrina, C, Roman Holiday, or D, Funny Face.
It's not Breakfast at Tiffany's, and it's not Roman Holiday. I'm pretty sure it's not those. I'm going to go with Funny Face, D.
That's incorrect, Matt. It actually was Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. So 2-0, and we're back to Tommy. Tommy, tequila is made from what plant?
Let's do the multiple choice.
Your choices are A, sugarcane, B, barley, C, agave, or D, corn.
I'm going to do the corn.
That's incorrect. Matt, you trying to steal this one?
What's the multiple choice again?
A, sugarcane, B, barley, C, agave, or D, corn.
I'm going to go with B.
That's incorrect, and you got a -1. It's actually agave. It comes from the blue agave plant.
All right, well, now it's 1-0, so Tommy has a chance of coming back.
It's 1-0. We're back to Matt. And Tommy, you might actually have a chance because you picked even, because Matt might not know his alcohol stuff that well. Question 5 to Matt. A popular myth claims tequila is served with a worm in the bottle. However, it's actually a different Mexican spirit that sometimes contains the worm. What is the name of that spirit?
Oh, give me the multiple choice, please.
Your choices are A, mezcal, B, solto, C, raicilla, or D, pulque.
Okay, that didn't help me at all. I'm just going to pick one at random. B.
That's incorrect. Tommy,
you want to steal that?
I'm going to say D because I like the way you said the word.
That's actually wrong. Sorry. It's actually mezcal. It is not pulque. It is mezcal.
Say D again.
Pulque.
Yeah, there you go. I think we're all winners now.
Yeah,
so.
Now it's 0 to -1. Is that what
It's 1 to -1. But Tommy, if you can get this with no multiple choice and get the 2 points, you could end with a tie. And I think you have a chance of getting this, actually. At the end of the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Pee-wee's adventure is turned into a Hollywood film. Who plays Pee-wee in the fictionalized version within the movie?
I mean, I don't really... I know the face and I know the beard. Let's do the multiple choice, and I don't care if I win or not.
Okay. Choices are A, James Brolin, B, Clint Eastwood, C, Burt Reynolds, or D, Tom Selleck.
Oh, it's A.
That's right. So It was a good game. It was 1-0. So
Thank you, Benny Hill.
Yeah. I guess we're at the point where we got to decide if tequila and the champs are thunder or blunder. And Tommy, we'll start with you. Did the champs bring the thunder with tequila, or was this a one-hit blunder?
I'm into it. I love this. I mean, assuming thunder is good. Yeah, I'm into it. I like that song.
Yeah. Matt, how do you feel about it?
I mean, like I said, the rest of the champs' music is kind of whatever. But the amount of time that I've spent listening to Tequila, I know normally I do this by taking in the band's entire catalog, but I love the song Tequila so goddamn much that I'm going to go Thunder as well on this.
Okay, 2 thunders so far. Sometimes we take into consideration the rest of the artist's catalog, the success they had after it, the success we believe they should have had after their one hit and everything. I don't think the champs should have had more hits. It doesn't even seem like the champs tried to have more hits. They just tried to just keep capitalizing on the success of Tequila. But, I'm not going to take a thunder away from Tequila. I mean, this song lives on. It will continue to live on after us. I hope it does, actually. And I think this is going to be a triple thunder. I think we will certify this one thunder. So the champs who are... I mean, the guy who wrote the song died in like 2006. That would be...
All right, well, Dave, we'll send it to Dave Burgess then.
Dave Burgess will send you your certificate. And... Tommy, before we go, I want to re-emphasize that everyone should check out The House From. Let everyone know where it's available and how they could see it one more time.
I just want to add to this Thunder Blunder thing. it is so difficult to get to the mountaintop. Even if you got there once and even by mistake, I think that's great.
Yeah.
You know, I think, and especially a song that, like, you know, how old? He said 50 something. Like we're still talking about that song, and we know all the words.
We're talking about it 66 years later. We're talking about it. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I mean, like, talk about something that lives on past this, especially 2006. This guy dies. You know, it's like you can only hope. You know that your stuff lives on. So, but with that said, yeah, The House From it's currently on the Maximum Effort channel. There's ways to find that, and then, you know, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play it's on there as well. We gave a decent price, so that way it's not super expensive. You know, you look at some of these movies, sometimes it's like $19.99. You're like, what? But yeah, it's great. It's a fun watch. You know, I think the movie's like a little under an hour and 40 minutes. We go to a lot of over 20 different houses. Majority of them are all just movies I liked, you know, outside of like Twilight and Outsiders and Silence of the Lambs. Like those are movies that are sort of like out of my wheelhouse, you know. Everything else, it's like a combination of Friday and Can't Hardly Wait. You know, it's all, and we hit all the good stuff too. Full House, Home Alone. It's a fun watch.
Golden
Jason
Girls.
Lee's our narrator. Ryan Reynolds is our executive producer. Adam F. Goldberg is our executive producer. So it's a fun watch, and I really enjoyed making it because I got to pee in the Full House house. I peed in Uncle Buck's house. It's all good stuff. I think Derek caught COVID in the Twilight house, you know, so we're all good.
And you know what? After you watch The House From, I must implore, go check out all of Tommy's other documentaries. Waldo on Weed is a very slept-on doc from you. We're getting close to the perfect season for I Am Santa Claus from Tommy. Bill Murray Stories is another great one.
This is Guar.
Two-part. What was that?
The Guar documentary.
This is Guar. I Love You, You Hate Me, which is on Peacock right now. There's just a ton of great documentaries from Tommy. You should check them all out.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Somewhere in the dark, I wonder if you know how truly happy I was sitting next to you. And you, something I can't drove away. And I had to figure.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Afalios of the band Punchline and Matt Kelly of Geekscape.net. Underneath me, you're hearing Somewhere in the Dark off the Punchline album Just Say Yes. Visit punchlinemusic.com for any upcoming news on the band. Our podcast is on Patreon now. Find us at patreon.com/OHT podcast for early access to episodes, bonus episodes, and a chance to vote on future songs for us to cover. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to us on any podcasting app, and tune in next week for more One Hit Thunder.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
Life is full of adventures.
Do you take this man to be your husband?
I do. Welcome home.
We did it. He has your eyes.
He's perfect.
Make the most of them all with PenFed checking and savings accounts. Learn more at PenFed.org. Federally insured by NCUA. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed Credit Union.
PenFed's got great rates for everyone.
Hey there, I am Johnny Christ from Avenged Sevenfold, and I've got a podcast called Drinks with Johnny you're going to want to check out. I sit down with a bunch of different people from all different walks of life, from professional wrestlers to actors, comedians, fighters, musicians, everything in between. I'm just looking to make some friends and have a good time doing it. So if that sounds like something you're into, go check out Drinks with Johnny, streaming everywhere now.